Hi, it's Kim from Expressions of the Universe with your weekly wisdom for March 20th through the 27th. It is the equinox, and I have a pick card for you guys this week, in addition to some really fun stuff, some fun facts, and the astrology of the Aries Ingress chart, the equinox chart. So let's get started. And here's my presentation for the equinox. Astrology of new beginnings and a pick a card. Yes. So let's see. Hopefully this will be as fun as I'm expecting it to be. All right. So the dates of the equinox, March 20th, 2022. I put the time zones in here for you to make it a little bit easier. It will be at 11:33 Eastern Standard Time in the AM, but you can see through the different time zones how that could really change. You know, in Sydney, Australia, they will not be having the equinox until Monday, March 21st. And then say Los Angeles, it'll only be 8:33 in the morning. Honolulu, 5:33 in the morning. But London, UK, it will be in the afternoon. And this is my fun facts, good to know. It is the spring or vernal equinox in the Northern Hemisphere. Don't want to leave out my friends down under, so it is the fall or autumnal equinox in the Southern Hemisphere. It occurs at the exact moment the sun moves into the astrological sign of Aries. It brings equal day and equal night to the planet Earth. So you'll see that there's the sun, and, you know, in the Southern Hemisphere, well, it says September 23rd because the photo is for Northern Hemisphere, but the spring and autumnal equinoxes have equal distance between the sun. It will remain that way for 3 days. And what's interesting is that the Earth is perpendicular instead of on that full tilted axis, as the Earth is preparing to shift seasons. And these do represent the 4 seasons. When we have summer winter solstice, in the winter, the Earth is furthest from the sun. And I mean, it looks like it's equal distance. Depends on where you are in the Earth, because in the Southern Hemisphere, it is closer to the sun, but that's for another story. It brings equal day and equal night to the planet Earth for 3 days. And then it starts to slowly tilt again. As it moves towards, here in the Northern Hemisphere, the summer solstice, and it moves further away from, Earth moves further away from the sun in the Southern Hemisphere, bringing them closer to winter solstice. It's known as Ostera in the Northern Hemisphere, or Mabon in the Southern Hemisphere. And then I put up the wheels of the year where I get Ostera and Mabon. So really, you just have to, if you are in the Southern Hemisphere, you're looking at a Northern Hemisphere wheel of the year, you just have to flip it, and you'll get the results for what is on the opposite end of the Earth. Same as if you are in the Southern Hemisphere and you're looking at a Southern Hemisphere wheel of the year. You'll see what is on the axis, like here. In the fall, we have Samhain, and actually Beltane occurs when we're having Halloween in the Southern Hemisphere. Then there's Litha and Yule, Lugnasa and Imbolc. And you just flip the dates, reverse the dates, you'll see it here. So this is really a good slide to have, especially if you are looking for the old Celtic, Druidic, or pagan names of these times of the year, Wiccan times of the year. So other fun stuff. It is International Astrology Day. Woohoo. So you know I love that. And that's because it is considered the astrological new year. Aries is the first sign of the astrological wheel. And then it goes around the wheel in a counterclockwise fashion. So here is the energy of Aries, the symbol, the ruling planet, the house that it rules, the element, the mode, keywords, in case you want to have it. And if you did not see, on Facebook and Instagram, I posted a scientific challenge for tomorrow while I'm recording this the day before the equinox. So on March 20th, at the time of the equinox where you live, here's my challenge. It is said that you can stand an egg up on a table or a counter and it will stay there. And the same goes with a broom. You can stand a broom upright and it will not fall down. And it is said it's because the earth is in a perpendicular fashion, not on a tilt. And I guess it's the effects of gravity before it tilts. And you can also do this in the autumn or the fall in the Northern Hemisphere, vice versa, Southern. So you can do this twice a year. My challenge is for everyone to try this, the broom and the egg, take photos of it and post it and tag me in it so that I can see your challenges. Let me know what you think. I think this is something really fun that we can do with our children and or grandchildren, nieces and nephews, maybe your neighbors. Educate children about the equinox, and this is definitely something fun, but it's also fun for adults to try. And before I move on to the pick a card, I just wanted to show you, because I didn't put it in the slide, I am using peach selenite, 2 of them. And I tried to find my boji stones because they are sold in pairs too. But I thought that this would be really great because it is about balance. It is about that equality. And so I'm going to put one on each side of my bra. That's the energy. The selenite is purifying, it's protective, it's angelic. So that's what I'm going to do. And then the boji stones, they work really well for grounding. This is for like higher divine connection. The boji stones keep you grounded. So, or, you know, like I was even thinking that 2 of any stone, one on one side of your body, like one in one pocket, one in the other, 2 of any stone would bring you that same balance. So try that for the next couple of days. All right, so back to the presentation. All right, I have a pick a card for you. And I want you to go ahead, take a deep breath, maybe close your eyes, take a couple of deep breaths and focus on the cards or what is the first number, 1, 2, or 3 that comes to your head. And go ahead, I'll give you a moment to choose. And then I will do the reveal and I'll read a little synopsis of each stone, of each card. Oh my goodness, losing my mind, right? All right, so what I want to do, all right, let's move on to card number 1. Card number 1 is coming apart. It is card number 46. And that gives me the energy overall of manifestation, but it is about self-care. It is about boundaries. The 4 is our creativity or lack of. The 6 is what we're opening up to. It is also our assessment of our material abundance or the lack thereof. And so it's a very encompassing number, numerology wise. The 4 also symbolizes, like, who are you hanging around with? Who are the people that are influencing you in your life? Are you shut off from the world, or are you open up to the world? But that net 10 of this card really says that you have to put yourself first and you have to put up some healthy boundaries. So the coming apart, if you chose card number 1, says now is the time to take separate paths. The coming apart card is a sign to put an end to what is no longer working for you. Has a commitment been broken? Perhaps you need to break a promise or change course because you took on more than you could handle. This is a perfect time to reassess your goals and values. Are your actions in alignment with what your beliefs are? Have you created a partnership that is not mutually beneficial? Separation, disillusion, and dispersion are all in focus now. If someone wishes to break away from you, don't chase the relationship out of a sense of fear. The price you'll pay will not be worth the prize. Separation brings good fortune. So that is card number 1. It gives you a lot to think about with the beginning of this astrological year, regardless of what your sign is. All right, card number 2. You chose card number 2. It is coming to life. It is card number 29. That nets to an 11, which is a master number of authenticity and integrity. The 2 talks about your feelings and your emotions. The 9 indicates several things. It could indicate an ending to one thing and the beginning of another, the journey onto a new path, possibly. But when you look at that net 11, you have to do everything with authenticity and integrity. You have to follow your heart in all cases. So coming to life says, something beautiful is being born in your life. When you look at your life, can you see how you've grown and evolved over time? Perhaps you've shed skins and identities and created new ones, or at the very least, matured in your ideas about yourself and the world you inhabit. You know things take time, and Spirit's timetable is rarely in sync with your own. This card indicates that a long-held dream is beginning to show signs of life. You must try not to coax it along or shape it according to your desires. Spirit knows the best form for the manifestation of this dream, and your life can become even better than you could possibly imagine. Now is the time for reverence and awe. Allow the contours of your path to be carved by the hands of the divine. All you have to do is show up. That's pretty fantastic. And I love the symbolism of the butterfly here and the spark of something brand new happening right here. All right, card number 3 is Compass. It is card number 50. The 5 indicating a big change is about to take place, could possibly come with an ending. And the 0 that is about putting up boundaries, following one's own heart, putting healthy boundaries up for this new journey, for this new beginning. And you'll see here, there once again is a spark And there's a frog here. So that's a great symbol of spring and new beginnings. All right. The compass says, as long as you orient your compass to true north, the direction of your higher power, you will never be lost. You are entering uncharted territories right now and can expect wonderful new experiences. To stay on the highest path of your destiny, you will need to keep your compass pointed to true north. And true north is what your heart knows and loves, and your gut knows and loves and says yes to. That is true north. Only spirit or a higher power can serve this function. Money, prosperity, prestige, romance, and other material achievements can't help you find your true path. They are simply things you may experience along the journey. Know that spirit is working in your life, so even if you feel lost temporarily, it will be easy for you to find your way. Have faith and trust, for your compass with spirit as true north will ensure that you'll never be lost, even on a starless night when all seems dark. I love that. And I think that that's pretty beautiful for all of us, for all of you. And if I just go back real quick, you'll see when I talked about the boundaries, how this symbol is a symbol of, protection, cocooning. So I was just pointing out, and then it looks as though there is a butterfly here. So transformation in the coming apart, transformation in the coming to life, and new beginnings with the compass. I love it. And I also love this because it has the astrological wheel. All right. The deck that I used here today, it is Colette Baron Reed's The Enchanted Map. I believe this was her anniversary edition. I also have the original edition from 20 years ago. It is a 54 card deck, and I thought that I would use something different because I haven't pulled this one out for a while. All right, let's move on to the astrology. So this is the Equinox, the Aries Ingress chart that I was talking about. And when I'm looking at it from a mundane perspective, and I left my notes in the other room. Can you believe that? I can. So I think I'm going to have to pause this real quick. Darn. I'll be right back. All right, I'm back. I thought that I was fully prepared, and obviously I wasn't. So it's really important from at least my perspective, but most astrologers, to look at certain ingress charts. And the ingress is the movement of a planet from one sign into another. In this case, it is the sun moving from Pisces into Aries. And why is this chart so important? Because it is the beginning of the astrological new year. So it kind of gives us an idea of what the year may entail. We can do check-ins at various times of the year, looking at different ingresses. So when we were looking at that full moon in Virgo the other day, I talked about the health axis of Virgo Pisces. Well, now we're looking at the axis of Aries and Libra, and it is the axis of, you could say, war and peace, the warrior and the judge, aggression and harmony or balance. And so that would be the common goal. And then in mundane astrology, it is the astrology looking at it from a world point of view instead of a personal view. So if I'm reading your chart, I'm looking at the planets and the houses and all of their configurations, but I'm looking at it from a personal perspective. When you look at it from a mundane perspective, the planets have similar archetypical meaning, but everything is a little bit different because it's on a collective scale. So, of course, my notes are not in order. Here we are. So, for example, in this case, looking at this sun up here in the 10th house, right on the 10th house cusp, the sun represents a country's leadership, the nation's heart, and their prestige. So this chart was actually pulled for the United States, and I'm putting it where our capital is, which is Washington, D.C., and this is the configuration. Now, you may say, well, I live in London. You can pull the chart for your area. I do have a video on how to pull charts. All you have to do is put up London and the time and date that you saw in the previous slide, and you can see which house it's coming in. It'll have, a huge effect on that country. But for the most part, the energies, if I leave out the houses, the planets are all going to be in this configuration. No matter where you are in the world, they just might show up in a different house than here. So with the sun being a country's leadership, and it's in the 10th house, that shows me that, for the United States, it looks fairly strong. But, we do have Neptune right on the cusp. And Neptune does talk about water, talks about gasoline, petrol. It talks about water travel, water distribution. So, this could be flooding. This could be clean water issues in the world, specifically, for this chart in the United States, maybe. It's also collective dreams and aspirations. It is about elder care and people who are differently able. So that could be a big highlight this coming year for the United States. It's also national secrets, mysticism, and we know that the United States, I know, a lot of us know, the United States has a lot of secret mysticism in the founding of the country because those founding fathers were all in the secret society of the Masonic Temple and other different chapters. All of the buildings that were initially built, they were built on Masonic geometry. The country itself, the birth chart of the United States, was perfectly timed by an astrologer. And so for specific reasons. So moving on, then we have, I don't know why I didn't remove this Vulcan, because I don't read that. I don't know how that got in there, so I apologize. But, we do have a stellium with the midheaven, Mercury, Jupiter, and Neptune in Pisces in the 9th house. So the 9th house, that represents foreign affairs, foreign policies, immigration, religious beliefs. And so, could that be a big highlight, for this country? We also have huge stellium in Aquarius, but in the 8th house. So just doing a breakdown, we'll start off here in the 10th house with the sun, and Chiron it's a wide orb, but Chiron is here. So this is about personal identity wounds in the world for governmental leaders in the world as a whole, I feel. The 10th house represents the presidency, any royalty in the world, reputations, and also celebrities. So I feel as though there could be, you know, the wounded hearts. There could be some, you know, political stuff coming out. Neptune also ruling media. So we could be hearing a lot about royalty, presidencies, celebrities, either making good or making bad. Then we take a look at this 9th house of Pisces. So I already talked about Neptune, and Jupiter from a mundane perspective is natural growth, development, religion, philosophy, the law system, the upper class, you know, that 1% of the world that everyone hears about. And it's also the nation's wealth. So I feel as though, you know, from national wealth, the United States will do very well. So the economy should be recovering. Excuse me. Mercury, representing the country's media and public speakers, trade and commerce, and also transportation. But remember, there's foreign affairs involved here. Then we move on to that 8th house. And excuse me a second. Clear my throat, and I have my water here and didn't even think about it. So the 8th house represents national debt, banks, social security, secret agencies, waste, and mortality. And when I looked at that, I was like, oh, there could be, you know, we could be hearing of a lot of deaths, especially, you know, with Neptune being up on that cusp of the 10th house, elder care and other abled person care, you know, like I know that our senior citizens or other able persons don't get the care that they need and deserve, and it's all about money. That could also affect the mortality rate, especially we've got, although it's right on the cusp, you know, Pluto is approaching in this 8th house. So let's break that down. We have Saturn right here. Actually, I should have been showing all of you. So let's all right, so I have Saturn right in here in the 8th house. And that is representing government, law enforcement, global reputation and influence, and the state of the elderly once again. And it is in the 8th house. So, you know, I don't want to bring up any conspiracy theories, but we can talk about them, because I know that the mortality rate of elderly highly increased with the treatments during the pandemic. And it made me wonder, and when I say treatments, I mean, you know, vaccinations, or the treatments or the lack thereof because of everything going on. But it made me wonder, because our world is becoming so overpopulated, was this a means of reducing population? And I kind of see it in this chart, but you know, that's for another topic. But if you ever want to talk about it, we can have that discussion. I'd love to have an open forum. All right, so that's the Saturn. Now, I'm not going to bring up Juno, and I'm not bringing up any of the asteroids, but Juno, you know, she was Jupiter's jealous wife, Hera. And so it's like, you know, female advocates, women. And I felt like You know, the woman warrior is rising up. That's what I was feeling with this Aries ingress, because of it being in the 10th house, which is often represented by the mother. So, you know, here we go with that. Now, let's talk about Venus and Mars right here. Venus is about approach to diplomacy. How can we handle these issues in the 8th house, our national debt, the mortality rate, the economy, the money that we owe other countries? It's also about peace. It is about marriage laws. So we could be hearing something with that, and expectations put on that. Fashion, money, the arts. I think there's going to be a shift because it's also about values. And with the way that the economy is running, people don't have that kind of money. Now, remember, we talked about the extremely rich, the very wealthy here with this Jupiter in the 9th house. Could there be more balance between wealth with this axis of, you know, coming into play, you know, with Libra here? We don't know. We will have to see. And then Mars, it's about energy, which is also, once again, that's electricity, gas, you know, fuel and goals, but it's also physical energy, weapons and military. And that does scare me because Mars is on approach to Aries, its home sign. But I'm going to save this for another chart for later, because I'm seeing in July that, you know, when Uranus conjuncts the node and opposes South Node, Mars will be in Aries, and I don't like the way that that looks. I was getting a not good feeling, but that'll be for another chart. Also, too, Mars is representing doctors, surgeons, 8th house, mortality rate again. It's also diseases, and it's also considered national courage. So when I see this, does this mean that we will have another surge of COVID? And I spoke about this over a month ago, that I saw with these charts, I saw a new variant coming out, and everybody has been letting their guard down, thinking, oh, we have gotten past this. And I don't think that we have. I think we're going to see some sort of a resurgence, you know, and I don't feel as though, looking at the future charts, that we may ever be away from the pandemic. We're coming into a new way of living. And my girlfriend and I were singing the other day, you know, it's the end of the world as we know it. Like, that old world that we had, that's gone. All of that freedom, it's all gone. But we can restructure our lives in a beautiful, joyous, harmonious, appreciative, gratitude-filled way, that we are still here. And most of us are not at war. I mean, if you're watching this video, just think about how blessed we all truly are. Now let's take a look at Pluto here, because, you know, Pluto is the planet of death, endings, rebirth, and transformation. It is in Capricorn, foundations, old regimes. It is conjuncting it is the Pluto return of the United States. We're in it. So that's another reason why I used the United States for this ingress chart, because the United States is going through huge transformation. People, you know, they want to cling on to the old. Everything is being ripped out from the bottom of the United States. Pluto also represents power, the adaptability that a country has, a collective people has. It's crime, it's corruption, it's national debt, it's foundational issues, and it's all coming apart. So it's right on the cusp of the eighth house in the sign of foundations and governments and banking systems and economics. So it'll be really interesting. I know we're going through a little bit of a rough time. So if I also, now let's come over here, I'm going to look at Uranus in Taurus. Uranus is the chaos maker. He says, expect the unexpected. Taurus represents the earth, the land, also represents, you know, money and real estate, finance, values, arts, music, painting, dance. Like there's so many different nuances of Taurus. But you know, that 11th house does talk about friendliness, talks about our allies, the parliament, groups, organizations, the goals, hopes, dreams, and wishes of a country. And Uranus is the mass media. It is the things that we are hearing. It is also technology. It is science, scientists. It is researchers. And I think with the coming together with the North Node, well, actually, let me back that up. So the North Node, the nodes move in a clockwise fashion where the planets move in a counterclockwise. So as Uranus moves towards the North Node's moving towards Uranus. And when they conjunct together, you know, we could have some scientific and technological breakthroughs. This also represents air transportation. So I'll be curious because it's like expect the unexpected, especially with gas prices. The moon is the people, the general populace of any country. Now, it is at the anaretic degree, that critical final degree of Libra. To me, just looking at that, and it's also in the 5th house, it's like the people are at their wits' end. They've had it. It's in the 5th house of joy and pleasure and romance and children, and people just want to move on with their lives. That's what I'm feeling. And so it's also, moon represents our culture. It represents, you know, family roles, food, land, security. At that 29th anaretic degree, really kind of gives me a little bit of nervousness, especially because of the aspect that it is making to Neptune. So it's like, I feel as though we are in a fog. We don't know really what is happening. People have put their pleasures on hold, some, because we don't know economically what is going on. Also, the moon is squaring Pluto. So that square between Pluto and the moon kind of worries me because, well, you know, maybe not, you know, the collective is transforming, it's changing, it's forcing the changes that need to be made. So don't give Pluto the power. And the people need to take back the power and force these economic foundational changes that are needed. The changes that are needed in crime and corruption and everything bad that's going on in the world. The people are the ones that need to make those changes. You'll also notice a beautiful, let me change up my color, a beautiful trine in Earth, just like the full moon we had. and that is grounding. It is about values. It is about money, and finance and safety, security. So yeah, that is what I'm seeing. Now, if I go ahead and erase all of this, all of my lines, if we take a look at this from a personal astrological perspective for all of us, I want you to take a look at, what sign are you? What is your sun sign, rising sign, and moon? And take a look and see which house it's in, because it'll give you a good idea. Now, I do have a tutorial also that will discuss that, how you can look at your own chart, and it breaks down what the planets mean and also what the houses mean. But it is interesting too that this Ingress chart, the ascendant, is in Gemini. It is about communication. It is about our thoughts, thought process. It is about media. It's about merchants, mercantile. It's at 27 degrees. However, there is no aspect being made. It's almost at that anaretic degree. So those areas of media, communications, thought processes, public speaking, it's almost at that critical degree. So there's going to be a lot of highlight in that. I think pretty much that's all I have for you there. And let's just see. Can't get past that. Why won't it let me advance? Oh, so I keep forgetting to erase. Thank you for watching, and happy equinox, happy astrological new year from me, Kim at Expressions of the Universe. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope you do the challenge. And spring cleaning, autumnal cleaning, my body, mind, and spirit. Go and check out that full moon in Virgo video, because it really does go with this. Check out the tutorials so that you can understand astrology a little more. I will be making more tutorials. Light a bonfire or light a candle, and happy spring, everybody. I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. And I bought flowers. Look at that. Look how gorgeous that is. I just needed to put them all around the house. Tulips and daffodils, just to bring that spring in. Open your windows if you can. The past few days, I've had everything opened up in here. It's just simply lovely. And the extra daylight. Oh, yes. Hope you're all feeling as good as I am. I love you all. I'll see you next week. Bye.